Om Shanti. Good morning, everyone, and a very happy Monday. We just heard a very, very beautiful song on the 8 spiritual powers. And today's Murli is about the spiritual powers and how we need to keep a stock of all these powers. Because when there is a stock, when the time comes, when there is a need, it is available for us to use. Just like we stock grains, we stock certain essential items, we stock it for months in advance so that if the time comes when we need them, they are available at our disposal. So in the same way, Baba in today's Murli is emphasizing on stocking all the powers, the 8 powers of the soul. And if you see, when we stock grains, we usually put them in airtight containers. Because if they are not kept in airtight containers, because of the heat, the air, the moisture, the grains go bad. So if you even look at it from a spiritual perspective here, we already have these powers within, but the way to awaken them is through the practice of soul consciousness and Baba's remembrance. And the way to sustain these powers is to hold this right awareness of being a soul, of being in connection with Baba. Because the moment we get trapped into body consciousness, there is this, as if like this container has been opened now, and there is this huge influx of waste thoughts that come in. And with the waste thoughts, all the powers which are there within the soul, they start to deplete. So really it is for us, in order to keep ourselves protected and safe, to follow Baba's Srimad, to be fully in that capsule or in that airtight container where we are following Baba's directions, and not leaving anything open for any sort of wastage or any leak. So with that, let's listen to Baba's Murli. Today's topic is Stock of All Powers. This Murli was originally spoken on June the 1st, 1973. Baba says, do you consider yourself to be obstacle-proof? When you become obstacle-proof, you will be able to save others from the different types of obstacles. But if you yourself have some obstacle in your mind, then you will not be able to make anyone else obstacle-proof. So when Baba is talking about obstacles, where does these obstacles rise? It's from our thoughts, the mind. So Baba says having a powerful mind itself will help you be obstacle-proof. And with a powerful mind, we can enable many others to be free from obstacles. Because obstacles arises because of our weak thoughts, because of the weak mind. So the more we make it powerful, the more we are able to destroy these obstacles for the self and others. So the time that is now coming is such that the entire haystack will be set on fire. So in order to protect everyone from the fire, some main things are essential. So when there is a fire, we definitely need water to extinguish that fire. Or we need those fire extinguishers. So Baba says, what is essential for when the whole world itself will have its final moments, the final chapter before this cycle ends and the next begins. So when there is a fire somewhere, what is needed first of all in order to save yourself from that fire? When the fire of destruction is set ablaze everywhere, what will be the duty or the first duty of you elevated souls? It will be to give everyone the donation of peace. That is the water of coolness. So when there's a fire, the fire brigade is called to put out the fire with water. So here Baba says, when there will be peacelessness in the entire world, vibrations of peacelessness. So what is it that we need to give? What is it that everyone needs at that time? Are vibrations of peace. And those vibrations of peace, that donation of peace, will act like water for this blazing fire. So Baba says it will be the water of coolness. What is done after water is put on a fire? So when we see after you put water on physical, when physically things are burning, what do? If anyone is injured, you would take them to the hospital, you would take care of their needs, you would take someone back home. So here Baba's asking, whatever anyone needs, their needs are fulfilled. Someone may want rest. Someone would just want to be seated somewhere and be resting. Someone else may want a destination. Someone else would just want to go home. Whatever they need, that need of theirs will be fulfilled. And so Baba says, what will be the need of the souls at that time? Definitely they will need peace, but along with peace, they would also need power. A lot of power we have to give to the souls. That's why Baba says light and might. That might is essential. That power which the souls need is essential. And we have to donate that. So do you know what needs you have to fulfill? At that time, each one will need a different power. Someone will need the power to tolerate. Someone will need the power to pack up. Someone will need the power to recognize the self. Someone will need the power to make a decision. And someone will need the destination of liberation. So everyone's needs will be different. But coming back to this, to really what Baba says, it's power. They need power. The power in terms of tolerance, letting go, forgiving, forgetting. Baba says everything that will be the need of that time. And so the power to tolerate really means to accept differences. We may be different, but to accept and to still have a loving, pure feelings towards the other soul. Whereas power to pack up is all about letting go the bags and baggages of the past and keeping a clean slate, just keeping yourself very light. So Baba says some will need to recognize the self, who they really are, the soul and not the body. Some will need to make a decision. Someone will want to the path to go back home to the land of liberation. So souls will need different powers. At that time, the power to make peaceless souls peaceful in a second with the introduction of the Father will also be essential. So we give them peace, Baba says, but with the introduction of Baba, because Baba is the ocean of peace. So Baba says, through our peaceful vibrations, through our donation or donating of our powers, they will receive the message that they need at that moment. Baba's introduction will be essential. You have to accumulate that at this time. So the stocking of powers has to happen now. Just like when things are available, you collect it and you stock them. And you have your inventory. And then you keep checking your inventory. If anything is lacking, you refill. So here too, now is our chance to fill ourselves. So Baba says, accumulate at this time. Otherwise, at that time, how will you be able to protect them from the blazing fire? So when things will really go at its extreme, when all the 5 elements will be showing their fierce forms, and there'll be natural calamities, and there'll be so much going on, Baba says. If we are not powerful at that time, how will we be able to help other souls? How will you be able to give them the donation of life? Donation of life means, again, donating peace to them, donating the true awareness of who they really are, sharing with them the truth about themselves, about Baba. So really giving them that spiritual donation, a spiritual understanding. So that donation of life, you have to see about making these preparations in advance. So Baba's emphasizing a lot on doing it right now. Make preparations. What preparations? Baba says internal preparations that has to be made. So you keep a stock of 6 months supply, knowing what things you will need during the next 6 months. So based on the needs, we stock up. We keep an inventory. You check this and replenish the stock. Do you also check this stock in the same way? So Baba is asking, do I look at my 8 essential powers and check where I am lacking, which one needs more attention? So stock up these powers as well. Baba says, look at them. Make sure they're full within you. You will have to give the donation of power to all the souls of the entire world. Have you accumulated such a stock that you are able to make yourself continue to move along on the basis of this power? So what is Baba saying here? Have you accumulated all these powers? And we ourselves experience that these powers are making us move ahead. When we move along with these powers, we're experiencing it ourselves in our lives. And this is what is making us move forward in our spiritual journey. So you are also able to give this power to others so that no one is deprived. If you have not accumulated this power, and even one soul is left deprived, then on whom will that burden be? It will be on those who are the instruments. So being Baba's instruments means we have to help everyone and not leave anyone behind. Baba says if you've left anyone behind, that will be a burden on you, because Baba has given us all the yuktis, the methods with which we can make ourselves powerful and also help the other souls by donating them that spiritual power. So constantly check the stock of your every power. Those who have accumulated the stock of all powers are remembered as the main ones. So Baba says, you are fully stocked. So Baba says, then you are the ones who are very powerful, the main ones. And there is also a saying that when you put a full stop to waste thoughts, that's when you start becoming fully stocked. So that stop of waste and the stock of powers will automatically begin to increase. So stars are also number-wise. Baba started talking about physical stars with sparkle. Some sparkle really bright, some don't have that much shine. So those who have accumulated a stock will be sparkling like lucky stars. So they will have the sparkle of spirituality, the glow of spirituality, the powerful vibrations, and will be visible amidst the souls of the world. So such lucky stars, Baba says, will stand out. Their spiritual strength and power will make them stand out. So you have to check whether you have a stock of all the powers. So Baba says, Maharathis pay attention to their thoughts in advance. So there's a saying, right? You think before you think. So paying particular attention on the thoughts, and especially being Trikaldarshi, past, present, future of even what you're thinking, what consequences will it have? So Baba says, Maharathis pay a lot of attention to their thoughts in advance. The Maharathis' way of checking is completely different. So Maharathis, Baba says, very, very deep checking. It's not superficial level, very deep. I'll share one story about Dadi Prakash Mani, how she was checking herself, but we'll do it after the Murli. So because of having the power of yoga, the thoughts, words, and deeds are automatically accurate, yogyat. So the power of yoga is there, and the power of yoga, so the thoughts, words, deeds are filled with this power. And Baba says, because it's filled with the power of yoga, they become accurate. So this has now become a natural form. This is the Maharathi's form of checking. Out of all the powers, how much have you accumulated? How much have you accumulated each power? So again, Baba is asking us to check, and now we have to check at a very deep level. Do I have all those powers within me? Do I take time to check by my stock and my inventory? So how many souls can you bring benefit to from all the stock you have accumulated? Just as you have the duty of checking and accumulating physical stock, in the same way, you also have the responsibility of accumulating all the powers. Those who are all-rounders in this accumulate all types of stock according to the need. It's all about starting to check. Once we start checking, we can eliminate wastage and automatically accumulation will happen. So Baba says that check and how we check and accumulate physical stock. Here also we do our checking. And because of that checking, then and because of our effort, the effort we make in order to connect with Baba, in order to remove any wasteful thinking. So it becomes responsible. So we have the responsibility of accumulating powers. Those who are all-rounders in this accumulate all types of stock according to the need. At Amrit Vela, make your walk, Amrit Vela, make you walk on the path of attention, and the train will then move along the rails very well. So what does Baba say? If during Amrit Vela, we pay a lot of attention on the self and what we are thinking, and pay attention on keeping ourselves connected with Baba, then the foundation that we lay in the early morning hours will sustain the whole day. The power we accumulate during Amrit Vela will sustain us during the day. So here Baba says that pay attention. And then that power that you stock during that time, then the train will move along the rails. And so you've given power to the self. So naturally then, during the day, you will find it easier to keep yourself connected to Baba and to keep that right awareness that we need to have. So it will then be impossible for there to be fluctuation. The fluctuation between our consciousness of soul's consciousness, body consciousness. So Baba says we will be able to be stable. we will be able to hold the right awareness that we need throughout the day. And Baba says, so now you have to check that you are accumulating the stock. You children have responsibility for the whole world, not just for Bharat. Every action of the Maharatis should be more elevated than whose? Then Baba says, than that of cavalry and infantry. So Baba says those who are Maharatis will definitely make special efforts on themselves. And Baba says every action will be very, very elevated. Acha, Om Shanti. So this was Baba's short and sweet Murli of today, but a lot of points to look at in terms of churning. So if you see, Baba started off with talking about powers. So what really is the difference between a virtue and a power? We say we have 7 virtues and then we say we have 8 powers. So what is really a difference between a virtue and a power? So, the power, it's really the capability or the capacity of the soul to sustain virtues. And that's really his power. If I am able to sustain the virtue of peace, I'm able to experience the virtue of peace no matter what situations come in front of me. So that itself is a power. So the more I'm able to sustain virtues, experience them, the more power there is in the soul. And here Baba spoke about the 8 essential powers, starting with the power to withdraw, where really the focus is on introversion. So once Dadi Gulzar, very beautifully, she mentioned that introversion, in Hindi, they say antarmukhi. So if you look at your mukh, if you look at your face itself, it has all the sense organs in it, the eyes, the nose, mouth, ears, even the skin, sense of touch. So all the senses are in the face. And then the word comes antarmukhi, introversion means going within and checking now at a deeper level, not the physical senses really. We're detached from the physical senses, but really looking at our subtle senses and checking them, the mind and the intellect. So that introversion. So when how we, that tortoise goes within, in the same way how we souls withdraw our attention from the scenes of the what's happening externally to just focusing on what's going on within and paying attention on that and trying to keep pure positive thoughts no matter what the scenes are. So that introversion. And then of course Baba also spoke about power to pack up. And when we talk about packing up, when we travel light, we all enjoy. We don't like carrying too many bags, too much weight, and we have to keep figuring out where the bag is, where this went. So being very light, being focused on the present, not holding any burdens of the past, because that's like holding extra weight. You can hold more weight, it will make you tired. So you're not just keep this holding that many thoughts, which is essential for the present moment. And then we have the power to tolerate. So yeah, Baba said that we souls need that power, the power to accept that yes, everyone is different. Everyone's sanskars are different, but to still have love for everyone and the pure feelings for everyone, no matter what vibrations or energy we are getting from them. But from our end, there's positivity and there's that spiritual love. And then also when we accommodate, when we mold ourselves in order to be with people around. Some people will be very impatient around us, but we take more care to be very gentle, to be very calm around them. So how we mold ourselves in order to mix with others. So that's the power to accommodate, being flexible, easily mold, able to mold. Like Baba also says, those who mold themselves are real gold. And then, of course, we have the power to discern. And discernment means really not what is right and wrong, but what is appropriate for that moment. And the power to discern that. In some situations, it's best to just keep silent. And like Baba also says that two hands clap, one hand cannot clap. If someone is saying something to you, and if you say anything, it will just lead to more downfall in terms of conversation, in terms of debating. So better to be silent. So we do not say anything. But in some situations, we have to be very firm and upfront. So that firmness is needed in different situations. And there's some situations, the way we speak, if it's done in a very a good way, with a lot of good wishes, pure feelings for the other soul, it can help that soul. So it's really the quality, it's that power to discern what the other soul, the soul is, their sanskars are, and based on that, how you can interact with them. So that discernment. And then when Baba talks about power to decide, and in decide, you always have you see the scale, right? And the two sides of the scale. And really, when you see the scale, it's the midpoint of the scale, which is right in the middle, that remains stable, whereas the scales could move depending on how much weight it has. So really, that stands for balance. And when it comes to contradicting things, like Baba says, you have to be loving, you have to be detached. And so when it feels very contradicting on an external level, but if we understand and practice it from within, it really brings that stability, and it helps us to make decisions. So, and decision is also manifesting something into reality, because many times we think about things a lot, but we are not able to manifest it into reality because we don't take actions. We just think and just continue thinking. So it's about taking a step further. Yes, you discerned, but now put it into action. And then, of course, the power to face, which requires a lot of courage, no matter what the external scenes are. The inner anchor should always be very strong, connected with Baba, and our one step of courage, and Baba can help us with 1,000 steps. And the power to cooperate, where it's all about complementing. We all souls come with our speciality. And when we come with our specialities, we work with different specialities. We complement each other. Just like eyes, nose, mouth, all these organs complement with each other. None of them says, I'm better than you are. They don't compete, they complement. So here too, Baba says, we all souls are very special. So we have to come together and bring our specialities together. And that will help in bringing about this beautiful task of world transformation. So I'll stop here. We can take a minute of silence, and then we can go into discussions and journeys. Shanti. Does anyone have any questions? What Baba spoke today, or anything that touched your heart and you would like to share? Yes, anything about powers and any of your churnings on it. It will be wonderful to hear from you all. Any tips on how to stock up powers? Feel free to share that as well.
Om Shanti Didi, you're putting full stop. And Baba says, Yudhina, that you are fully stopped, putting full stop to waste thoughts. Isn't it? Our practice is going on this topic. No, I love this topic to put full stop to waste thoughts. And all about today, it has been told about past and righteous. So beautiful, Murli. So my takeaway point is to put full stop to all these thoughts and accumulating past. Thank you, Om Shanti.
And I just remembered while I was reading the Murli, I said I'll share about Dadi Prakash Muni's one experience. So I'll just go ahead and do that. So this was Raju Bhai, who's in charge of the Murli department. He shared that once he went to visit Dadi Prakash Muni in her room, and he saw her sitting on the couch, and she was in a resting. She was just resting, putting her head a little back, but she was not sleeping. So her eyes were closed, and she was more in a relaxed position. So he went and he sat next to her, and she was like that for quite some time. And like he mentioned, she was not sleeping, but she was in some form of deep thinking or deep introspection. And then after some time, Raju Bhai, he called out to Dadi that, Dadi, I'm here. And then she opened her eyes, and he immediately asked her, Dadi, what were you doing for so long? It really felt you were in some deep introspection. So Dadi said that I was holding myself, the jewel, on the hand of my palm, and I was checking myself very, very deeply whether I have any flaws in me. And just like a jewel merchant would look at a jewel at a very, very deep level using the magnifying glass to see if there are any um, like faults in that diamond. So your two Dadi was looking at herself, the soul, at a very, very deep level. And then she was checking that is there any flaw in this diamond? And then she asked Baba, Baba, is there any flaw? And then Baba said, no, child, there is no flaw in this diamond. And so Rajubai was saying that Rajubai felt like, oh, she's going to become Karmati very, very soon. But like Baba mentioned, Maharatis, the way they check themselves is very, very special. So even at our level, how am I doing in terms of my thinking, my speaking, my actions? Is it giving power to me? Is it giving powers to others? Am I causing anyone sorrow through my thoughts? Even at the thought level. So these deep levels of checking we need to do. So just wanted to share that, and feel free to share those who haven't yet.
Om Shanti, sister.
Shanti.
Do I really need power? So sometimes what happens, the word power is generally, we think it's something which makes us dominate over others, something in which we can exercise our energy over others, or something in which we can control others. So that's the physical power, which they show you even when you go for these physical things and all. They show you how to make yourself powerful. That is the hard power. That power sometimes even fails, because even though I am equipping myself with that physical power, I do not know how much my opponent whom I have to face or the situation that I have to face, what they have equipped themselves with. So that hard power is generally something which I have to keep recharging every time. And it's different. But this power which Baba is talking is soft power. It's spiritual power. And as you were talking about virtues, spiritual power, unlike physical power, you cannot use force. It needs that inner quality within us. It needs that kind of, what I say, the virtue within us. So virtue is something to be used. To take it out, put it on my gun and then shoot the gun is the power of that virtue. So important is power to virtue. This is what I generally, when I came across spiritual power, I realized why it is needed. But today Baba is speaking about the second line or third line itself. He's saying haystack on fire. So I know he's talking us about the final stages, the destruction. So what, now of course Baba is talking about stock, but first of all, I should know what should I stock. So the situation over here is haystack on fire. What will people need? See, when at that moment, people want only two things, peace or leave their body. They are crying, they are in distress, so they need to be healed. So we have to become Shitla Devi or Shakti Swarup, or showing them the way how to liberate themselves from this fire. So for all this, first, once I know the situation, there are such a list of all the 8 powers and all. There are some powers which we need before, unless I'm ready to accept that person who is there to help him. That is, I need that power to accept him, to accommodate him. Then I can teach him how to tolerate. Then I can teach him how to face. Why? First of all, am I ready to help that person? So a pre-power, a pre-virtue is also needed over here. So I think each of this power is a complete capsule in between. Any power, whether it is withdraw or whether it is judge, whether it is tolerate. It's, I think, a beautiful power, which, yes, we have to stop now. Am I able to tolerate myself? How do I heal people in pain? I especially saw this during the COVID times. What was the powers which were generally given? Healing people in pain, healing people who lost their loved ones, sending them peace. And that's the time really people started understanding the cycle also. Oh, life is short. Life is temporary. You know, a kind of a secret was imposed. The laws of the universe was imposed. So I think stock is every day when I take it, but what power? I think if we are able to churn on that, how does each of these power work to really remove the fire from the haystack? Shanti.
Shanti. Yeah, that was nice sharing that you mentioned the healing that the soul needs. And to understand, first, we ourselves have to be healed in order to heal others. So like you beautifully mentioned, it's for us to first look within ourselves. And that is what Baba keeps reminding us. That power within you will emerge when you are with me, when you are in Baba's company. We do not have to particularly look at, this power, that power, but everything will come when we are in Baba's remembrance. So we have to really focus on the seed, and from the seed, everything emerges automatically. So the more I stay with Baba, the more and more I will be able to see these powers emerge in me. There will be that tolerance, there will be that power to accommodate. It will come because these powers are already in us, and Baba's remembrance only starts to make them grow more and more within me, and grow to such an extent that now I'm able to experience it, and I'm even able to put it into practice. So yes, it was nice sharing. Thank you. Anybody else? And also one more thing I would like to share is this whole path of self-transformation is all about making the intellect more and more subtle. Because if you see now, the intellect was gross till the time we came to Baba, and then the whole transformation of it becoming more and more subtle. So when we are moving into more and more subtle, then whatever is subtle within us, the powers, the virtues, they start to emerge. It was very nicely put in one class that I heard that there are different types of intellect. So a Tamo Pradhan intellect will be hurt very easily and will find faults in everything. Whereas a Rajo Pradhan intellect will always compare things, preferences and comparison. A Sato intellect will have virtues. There'll be virtues which the soul can experience. There'll be respect, there'll be mercy for others. But Sato Pradhan intellect, that intellect, the soul which has a Sato Pradhan intellect, that soul can never come into the flow of feelings. Dadi Janki would say that if you are a Sato Pradhan soul, you won't come into the flow of feelings. And it's not about not having pure feelings, but it's really about coming into the feelings of disheartenment or sorrow or feeling bad about what somebody said. So when our stage becomes absolutely neutral towards praise, defamation, insult, anything, and that neutral stage, that stage of stability, that's when we have reached that Sato Pradhan stage. So the more and more we stock up with it, the more and more with yoga power, and that with the power of yoga, thoughts, words, and deeds are influenced, then definitely we could come to that stage of being absolutely neutral to any scene that's happening in the drama. And with that neutral stage, then I'm able to look at others, but not being affected by their drama or stories, and really able to send them that healing power that they need.
Just one more reflection, sister. It also depends on our attitude. Like, take for example, I'm talking about attitude now, not at the time of destruction. Take for example, somewhere I can see a kind of a fire going on. There was a kind of a proverb those days. When Rome was burning, Meadow was fiddling. So am I going to do that? Am I just going to say, it's okay, soul, this is the cycle, this is what is going to happen? So is that called as stability? Is that called as coolness? Just allowing that other person to cry out, but I sit over there as if that time in my yogic power, drawing powers. No, what I need is a lovely power of discern. So Baba has given us the situations, what will happen, kya hoga, what you need, which power and all. So when somebody is telling us what is going to happen, this, for this you need this, I think we have already got the job description, the descriptions or specifications of powers, everything Baba has given. So instead of just thinking this is what is needed, I think all the powers I should have, because I just don't know what I need at that time. Sometimes, yes, being stable also is needed. Or should I put water on the fire? Or should I put chemical on the fire? Or should I put a blanket on fire? Or should I only save that person? The discernment is needed. That moment, the right decision, if I don't take, everything is gone. So I think that attitude, am I ready? Because sometimes what we just feel, okay, let us just sit down. Let us just do Mansa Seva. That's not the time. That's action Seva at that time. So I think that also, power to act. It will only come if I have a stock. If I have not stocked myself, no action plan.
Absolutely, yes. And there's a message from Radhamani that now is the time to replenish the stock. Yes, now it's the time to make ourselves full. So that with that fullness, then we can serve the soul as per their needs. Would anyone else like to share or say anything? All right.
Om
So,
Shanti, sister. I think the power lies in the seed stage when the expansion merges into the seed, then automatically the alloy, and that too in the remembrance of the seed and Shiv Baba, and we are the master seed. In that remembrance, that we can see that the alloys are already out, and we are in the pure original state, and in that lies the power to accumulate the virtues, and then the reflection of the virtues is in the expansion. Om Shanti.
right, absolutely. The accumulation happens in the seed stage and expansion of it in our actions. Yes. It's nice. And
One more
there's
sister. Baba also mentions that in the Amrit Vela, you be that much attention so that you will go perfect in the ways. So that's the time where we have to start to bring our attention in the start of the day with the Baba. So that point is my takeaway, sister. Om Shanti.
so Baba mentioned how much attention you pay during that time. Then the train will run us per the rails. So yes, the more attentive we are to the self, the more we accumulate during Amrit Vela. And we see how that helps throughout the day. And so it is one of the comments that came. I am Baba's healing instrument, as I'm the assistant to the great surgeon. So beautiful points. Yes, and those who accumulate the stock of all powers are remembered as the main ones. So fully stocked are the treasured ones, like Baba said, the Maharathis, lucky stars, sparkling stars. So thank you, everyone, for those wonderful words of sharing. We can now move to meditation. Om Shanti. In order to be fully stopped, I need to focus on putting a full stop to all the waste. And for that, I check myself, the diamond, at a very, very deep level, holding the lens of introspection and zooming in on myself. The thoughts I create, they make me powerful or put me down. So I check how I can stop myself with all the powers. And for that, the inventory of good thoughts, pure elevated thoughts, is absolutely essential. So I keep my inventory of pure elevated thoughts. And I keep Baba as my companion in every step that I take. Holding the right awareness will help me become stopped and full. So I pay attention to myself. I check the diamond. And if I do see any faults, I make a determined thought in front of Baba to work on it. Taking Baba's powers, pure drishti, I am able to overcome the obstacles of my own self, my mind, and becoming obstacle proof. I am able to finish the obstacles of many others. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Baba. Thank you, Sneha Ben. Thank you, Divine Family. With the homework to be agile on what powers we are using in at what given point of time as a homework for the day. We shall meet tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Om Shanti.
Thank you.